Asked me and CH Admirand, and I'm so excited because if there's anybody that I can talk to for a half an hour, it's Colleen. And giggle too.
Without any not nice words.
We're going to do our very best because I don't have a
Okay.
bleep button.
Oh, I don't either.
Yeah, so we're gonna be on our very best behavior. We're gonna do all the other stuff off
Professional.
camera. Yeah, very, very, very. So Colleen is our only release this week, and which is really unusual right now, but
Yeah,
it is the Duke Saber, and it's book 7 in the Duke's Guard series, and there's like just so many O'Malley brothers and Finn brothers, and just lovely, lovely things going on with the series. So, Colleen, can you tell us about the book in the series?
Yes, I actually was. Don't laugh, but I have notes because I was thinking, okay, what don't I remember? Because I turned it in November, the end of November. Oh no, no, that was book 8. I turned this one in August. So a lot has happened since August, but this book, for some reason, I had it all planned out. I have them all planned out. I was like, I know what I'm going to write. This is going to be great. I love the plot. Ryan is going to follow along. He's going to not give me any trouble. And right off the bat, he's like, I don't want to meet her there. No, I want to change the plot. And I mean, they whisper in my head. Those people who don't write like us, Evelyn, who don't know characters, what they do, yeah, they whisper in my ear and they talk to me. And but they never tell me to do anything different. But anyway, so
don't dare them. Do not.
Oh yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that. Yeah, you know, we Irish, we never forget. We hold on to it. But he decided he wanted to meet her in a different way. He wanted to start off the book with a rescue. And have you ever seen Disney's Hercules, the cartoon, where they talk about the DID, the damsel in distress? Okay, she's the DID. She's hanging from a tree. She's stuck in a tree on the edge of town, and he hears this young voice, and he thinks it's you know, it's a little boy who's stuck up the tree, and he rides to the rescue. He's on his patrol, so he's on his horse, and he looks up, and the first thing he sees are these lithe, long, stocking-clad legs dangling above him, and well, you know what they wore for undergarments and Regency, like not really. So anyway, so he's a little distracted, and then he realizes, and he says, he's offers his help, and he says, and she says, well, I could get down by myself, and he's like, well, why didn't you? And she said, you know, she's really snarky with him, and has it escaped his notice that her hair was like all tangled in the branches, and then a little voice is above her. So her nephew that she's going to rescue actually didn't need to be rescued, and the other twin nephew is on the ground offering advice. So, and they're like in the middle, and he's trying to keep his head together and not be distracted because, oh, he really was distracted.
Understandably.
But anyway, so
what is set up?
He and I never think about. I know people have terms that they use for how people meet. It's like a meet cute, or is it cute meet or
cute?
Okay, well. See, I never think about stuff like that. I just think about what are my characters going to be doing, and how is it going to move the story along? Are they going to have a relationship? Are they going to be, you know, easy to get along with, which my characters really never are. I try to write heroines that are not opinionated. I mean, even if they are in a bad moment in their life where something's falling apart, like the one that I just turned in, well, I don't want to talk about that yet, but anyway, totally different story from this one. But you know, I don't think about tropes. I mean, that was never anything I ever thought about before, without realizing that what I do is actually a trope.
Yeah,
So
I think we kind of do it instinctively. People who love stories, I think, kind of instinctively find the stories and
as I started thinking, wow, do I have to think about writing as a trope? And I started thinking about that, and I'm like, my brain doesn't work that way. So, but hero to the rescue. She didn't want to be rescued, but she needed to be rescued. The second time he rides to the rescue, it's really serious. So it involves water and one of the twins. But for some reason, Garahans have other cousins, not just the O'Malleys and the Flahertys. There's an O'Gill. There are O'Gills and there are McGreevy's.
We're never going to run out of men, are we?
Oh my God. And Killian O'Gill just decided that he was going to show up in this book, and he comes at the perfect moment because I'm writing and I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to get the boy and her out of the water safely? And yeah, anyway, I don't want to say anymore because I don't want to ruin it, but it was just one of those moments, like it was perfect. Everything just fell into place. And then he's kind of like in the story, and people are like, well, yeah.
So is our heroine, is she taking care of her nephews? Is she like like is she
Yes.
caretaking? So
She her parents are really upset with her because she's not their model of what the proper daughter should look like. She has an overblown figure. She's really curvy, she's really tall, and it's an embarrassment to them because of the way men react to her.
Mhm.
But not her other sisters who take after the mother's side of the family, who are slender and tiny and petite and gracious and whatever. So they ship her off to the borderlands where she's going to be governess to her two nephews, her twin nephews. But the squire and his wife, her aunt and uncle, don't want anybody to know they're related. So they treat her almost as badly as her parents did. And there's a plot going on behind the scenes where the mom is still really trying to get her out of the picture. And so there's an abduction and all kinds of things going on. But Garahan's not having any of that. So he's your hero who just, yeah, he just, once I got over the fact that he was going to always argue with me, we got on better.
oh, good.
But it was tricky.
I think one of the things that's come up recently when we've been talking to authors is that idea that, you know, we're talking about a book that you finished back in August. Do you want to talk a little bit about your process and about because I know right now you finished book 8, which is the book that comes after this, and you're working on book 9, and there were 16 in this series.
Yep.
So I saw you on social media earlier today holding up a paper. Can you talk a little bit about your process and about how you keep track of things, and then also how far ahead in your head you're working from when the story comes out? Because I think that that's something that maybe readers don't necessarily understand, how the time delay between
the timing.
Yeah.
It's hard to talk about books that are already done and about to release when I'm still kind of thinking, I'm not sure what kind of edits are going to come back on book 8, which I sent off the end of November. And it's different and it's darker. So I'm thinking, oh, is that going to work out? And then, you know, in the meantime, I'm like, I have to focus on the O'Malleys because these next 4 books, there's 2 of the Wexford O'Malleys and 2 of the Cork O'Malleys. They're cousins, the same name. They're cousins and brothers. So there's 4 from each family unit. And
so that's 9, 10, 11, and 12.
Yep. 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then it's the Flahertys, and then it's on to Windmere's Warriors. So I can't believe I have on my whiteboard over there, I have till 2026, 2027. When I first signed the contracts, I'm like, am I still going to be around? Does fate have other plans for me? It was just one of those moments where I'm sitting there thinking, wow, this is like, it's an they're invested in me, and I'm so invested in writing these stories for them. But it's hard to think beyond what you're working on at the moment. But then all of a sudden you'll have a character just pop in and like, well, don't forget about me because my story's coming up and I really want you to, you know, I'm an O'Malley. I want you to look better than the Garahans because the Garahans call them the Sainted O'Malleys because they're blonde and green-eyed. They're not dark-haired, dark-eyed. People refer to them as, well, they're kind of like the devil sometimes. So, you know, it's how it is in families where you have the golden child and then you have the one who's like bookish or put upon or does all the chores and that kind of thing. But I have synopses for all of them. And I just finished in my stack here. This is a mess. My desk is a mess. But this is, the other day, I was so worried about, because, you know, you write them, you send them off, they're published. I don't think about them. after that. Half the time I don't even read them after they're published because I'm afraid, what if it really stinks? It was one of those. So I decided,
You would not let that happen.
well, and I should have more confidence in that because I don't have enough in me. But I decided what I need to do was write down all of the books 1 through 16, and I wrote down the who it is, the characters, their main characteristics, their injury,
Mhm.
like who got shot, who got knifed, who got
And on
clubbed
which
over the
side?
head. What's that?
And on which side did it
Exactly.
have as well?
But then on the side here, I have, well, she's a nanny, then it was a seamstress, and then it was a widowed tenant farmer, and then it was a maid, and then she was working in a tavern. That was book 5. And then orphaned in the Duke's Ward. And then I have this one that I just turned in. She was a governess. So then in book 8 that I just turned in, lured to London, thinking she's going to be working in a shop. But she ends up in a boarding house that is a staging
no.
area. The next step is a brothel.
Oh no, oh no.
So it's darker.
She's gonna need a hero quick.
Hero to the rescue. And then so then in the O'Malleys, I'm like, well, what am I gonna do? Because I already have their names. I mean, I have these for everybody. So I have 16 of them. I know who they are. And then I'm like, well, then what am I gonna do? So then I'm like, oh, okay. So just working it out, her father gambles away his home, her dowry, and her hand in marriage.
Oi.
So Dermot O'Malley really has a lot that he's got going on. And then I'm like, okay, so then we have the vicar's daughter, we have the angel of the streets, we have Emily's maid, Calliope's maid, and then a cook with a daughter, and then a soldier's widow with a babe, and a smuggler's daughter. So I've got those all, I mean, because I didn't want it to be, oh, she's writing another one of those books. And, it's going to be the hero. He's going to rescue the woman and whatever. Because, I don't want readers to get tired of the stories.
Well, and I think as a writer too, I know
get tired of writing it.
Well, and if I know too much, if I know everything,
right,
then I get about 3/4 of the way through, and I'm like, okay, but I know how it ends. It's like there has to be that little bit of that little bit of them keeping you on the edge, the little bit of the characters not letting you do exactly what you want to do, so that you can stay really engaged and attached in the process too.
I haven't been able to pull off a Victoria Holt yet. I used to love to read her because I'd be like, oh, she was the first historical author that I read, because I started with contemporary when I was 12. And she, halfway through the book, I was positive I knew what was going to happen to the heroine. I knew what was going to happen with the hero, and I knew who the bad guy was, because I'm like, I know this. Well, when you're a teenager, you know everything.
Well, yeah.
Twisted it around, and I'm like, oh my God. It was always like a surprise. So then I started thinking, reading it, okay, I know she's not going to do this with this person, and then she would. And I'm like, oh, she got me again. But I haven't been able to do that yet. But I was hoping to, keep the interest level up, because I don't want it to be the same. And because with characters, when there's so many of them, but they're related, then they all have the same intrinsic qualities.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to make sure they each have a different character defect, because we all know men have them. Women, not so much. We're much more agreeable, easy to get along with.
I'm just going to nod and smile because.
Yeah, that was like in another cartoon that my kids had watched. Oh my God, where the little penguins are going to smile and wave, boys.
Smile and wave. Oh yeah, I love Penguins of Madagascar is one of those.
Yes, so. That's the one. Oh my God. I think, was Rico the one that used to, every once in a while, he would cough up another weapon?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And then one was oh God, I love them, the penguins, but yeah.
So you mentioned your grandkids, who are just adorable. Another one of the things that you post about on social media is them and baking. And when this airs, it's going to be just a few days before Christmas. So I wondered if maybe we could talk a little bit about holiday treats,
Sure.
traditions, historical kind of things, and things that you like to do with the grandkids. Since it's just you and me, and we have the time today.
And you know what? This is really a treat for me, Evelyn, because you know I love talking with you.
I know.
And we
It's like
always
I
laugh.
saw it on the schedule, and I was like, "Oh, I can do that."
We can talk about anything.
That'd be fun.
It's really funny because only recently, Jack just turned 12 in October. And all of a sudden, you know, it's teenagehood. You can see it, and things are changing. And he's not in the kitchen as much as Hank. Hank is like, "Do you need help? What do you want me to do? I'm really good at cracking eggs now." And I let him do. I'm like, "Okay, yeah, if you could crack those eggs." He's like, "What if I get a shell?" He's like, "We'll fish it out. Don't worry about it. You know, the eggs, you don't need to worry about the yolk being whole. It's a cookie recipe." So he was helping me. He was measuring. He's like, "Can I sift?" I'm like, "Yes, you can sift." So he's like sifting the flour and everything, because we made a batch of sugar cookie dough, gingerbread dough, and then another sugar cookie dough. So, and they do like the taste test part. Can we
Well, no
taste
doubt.
it all? So now I've got those three. They're all like in the refrigerator waiting for Sunday, because when I have them on Sunday, we're going to be baking cookies. But they don't mind the rolling out part. Jack really likes when they come out of the oven and you put the icing on and then you eat them.
That's my favorite part too.
And
And I would imagine that readers would also enjoy that part.
eating the cookie parts, yeah, yeah. And it was really funny because I did a historical romance cookie hop
Mhm.
this past week, and I put up my ginger bear recipe. They're ginger bears. They're not gingerbread men. And you make little
Hard.
snow.
Are they hard cookies or are they soft ones?
I like to make them on the soft side.
Mhm.
I don't like the hard gingerbread. I like them chewy. So I never bake them all the way. I'm like, "Oh, yep, that looks done." And I make sure they're thick enough so that it's a nice bite, and it just goes so good with a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But then there's the argument, red hots or do we use raisins? I'm like, no, no, no. DJ hated raisins, so we didn't do raisins for like the buttons and everything.
Oh, so like little red hot candies.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Red
those would be
hots.
great with gingerbread. Oh, that would
They
be delightful.
they go really well. And the other thing is mini chips.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done buttons where you put like a little dab of icing, because I'm in my later years and I've realized I can use a pastry bag. It takes me hours, but I can use a pastry bag. And I do little buttons and then put a little mini chip. But those red hots go really good. And the picture that I posted was with red hots on it. I think it was 2019. Our youngest son was like, "Ma, you need help?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you know," and he decorated them all for me. So
Oh, fun.
they all had red hots everywhere. He really likes red hots.
Well, they're quite yummy. So.
But yeah, it's fun. And I was talking to my youngest son's girlfriend, and she was saying, "I really want to make cookies." I'm like, "Then just do it." She's like, "Well, what if they don't turn out?" I'm like, "You'll eat them anyway. It doesn't matter what they look like."
Even
And
a bad cookie is still a cookie,
it's still a cookie. So I gave her some recipes, and she was all excited to try them. Especially, she likes raspberry. So I was like, well, instead of making raspberry pinwheels, I posted a picture of that. I think it was the other day. And those came out really good. That was the last time I did it, where you take a square of dough and you cut each corner. You put your dab of raspberry jam in the middle, and yep, just like a pinwheel.
Oh,
and if you don't squish it down hard enough, then they all open, and then you have a mess on your cookie sheet. But you can roll them into a ball, flatten them, and put a thumbprint in it, and put jelly in them, and they taste just as good.
I love those, and I saw a recipe for those with lemon curd. It's almost like an Italian wedding cookie with a thumbprint in the center, and then you just put a little dot of lemon curd in the inside. It's like
I'm gonna try that
together. So.
I'm definitely trying that. Did they have do you know if it had like vanilla flavoring in the cookie, or if it was a almond?
It was vanilla and nuts, not almonds, maybe walnuts. More like those little
Okay.
the little wedding cookies, the little powdered sugar ball ones. So, and those are my favorite cookies, those and sand tarts. So.
Oh yeah.
So
the pecans with pecans.
Yeah, with pecans. Yeah.
Yeah.
So other than baking, is there anything that you particularly like to do at Christmas? Do you put up one tree or many trees or no trees?
I didn't put up one this year. I have little ones. I have a little one that's like about this tall, and it was pre-lit, so I have that on the one bookcase. And then I have the one from last year that I put up in the corner by DJ, his urn. I know it's a little weird, and I put lights on it because he wouldn't like lights on his urn. So I'm like, you know, you're with me now. I get to do.
The one time you get like, there's no argument back. You get to do it
No.
exactly.
And I missed the argument, but I have to say it's interesting not to have that argument. But anyway, so I have that in the corner, and then this year I found white lights, and I'm like, you know what? It's always dark. I usually drape the fireplace in holly and not real, and then red lights. Because they look like holly berries. It looks really pretty. But this year I found white lights, and I draped it all around my ancestors' pictures that are all over the fireplace. And it's like backlit, and it looks really cool. So
cool.
Boys help me with that. And then they help me do the bookcase, and then over on the piano. And then whenever they come over, I'm like, okay, can we like turn all the lights on? So they go around, they turn all the lights on. And I have decorations like coming out the wazoo, and I let them put them wherever they wanted. And they're like, hey, we're going to put this here. I'm thinking, okay. Wasn't anywhere. Well, I shouldn't. Oh, they'll never watch this. Not that I'm picking on them, but they just, in their little boy mind, put them interesting places. Yeah. But there was just one, and they started to put my grandfather's teddy bears. I'm like, no, Grandpa's, your great-great-grandfather's teddy bear has to go on the fireplace right in front of his mom and dad's picture. Mm-hmm. So they're like, why? I'm like, it's a place of honor. That's how it is. And this bear is from like 1908. So you have to be really, really, really careful. He's one of the original teddy bears. Thing. Yep. And I was looking for pictures to try to compare. So I'm pretty sure he was a stiff, but he only has one ear, the ear that would have had the little thing in it. But I mean, you look at how his paws are and the three little like claws that they put on him. Yeah. And he's long and thin. He's not a chubby teddy bear. So, but that was really fun finding that out, finding out little things. Because I have fairies and everywhere. DJ was pretty good about that. He's like, oh, you got another fairy. Okay. Like, I'm going to put him in the living room. He's like, with the other like 100 fairies. No, I only have about 20, I think. And then there's the pictures.
But, the family pictures?
What's that?
Family pictures?
Oh, well, no, I meant fairy pictures.
Oh.
Fairy. Yeah. But no, I do have family pictures. We only have like one or two that were ever professionally taken, but that was because the church that we were going to when the kids were little said, we're going to have pictures. It's going to go in the church, whatever directory. I was like, okay. So, of course, that was the day Josh was 2, and we're walking in, the whole family, he trips over a wire, has a fat lip. I'm like, great. And this is the Admirand family, the one with the fat lip.
It's best to have an accurate representation because,
but see, everybody looked a little too clean, though, in the picture because normally we were all like outside or doing something, and getting dressed up was never a big thing, but except for me. But other than that, Christmas Eve this year, our daughter and her family are coming over, the guys.
Oh, nice.
So every other year. So next year will be Christmas Day. Because she's like, Ma, how did you ever make it work, with, Dad's family? I was like, yep.
Everybody's expectations is not an easy thing to do at the holidays.
Oh, no. And that caused a lot of drama. But it's just like, well, we can't be in 2 places at one time. So let's try to be fair. Yeah. So we made it so that if it was Christmas at my family, it was Thanksgiving at his family. And then the next year it was, because drama at holidays.
Well, there's already enough to worry about and to make sure that everybody gets a little bit of what they want. So.
Yeah. What about you? Do you have any Christmas baking that you like to do?
I don't bake hardly at all anymore because I'm the one who eats the cookies, and that's just
See, that's me too. Yeah.
Like the kids have gotten surprisingly health conscious about that kind of thing.
But they're older though.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. But we usually do standing rib roast on Christmas Eve because I really like that. with
That's
Brussels.
my mother-in-law.
Yeah,
My mother-in-law's thing.
Yep, that's my favorite thing.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Do you do like the same veggies and everything every year, or do you change it up?
Usually the same because we like Brussels.
Like
We
it.
like Brussels sprouts. They all like Brussels sprouts, so I do roasted Brussels sprouts and you can do them in the pan with the little potatoes, and then I only have to pay attention to this
To
much
the
stuff. So,
Oh, that's a good idea. Do you put bacon in yours?
yes, yeah.
That's what my daughter did for Thanksgiving. She's like, I'm gonna bring Brussels sprouts. I'm like, okay, because I've never tried them till like a couple of years ago when she brought them and she had them. She does them in the oven
Mm-hmm.
on a
Yeah,
tray thing with bacon.
yeah.
And this year I'm looking for the bacon, and I wasn't gonna say anything because there wasn't any bacon. She's like, oh yeah, I forgot it, but
Oh
so
no, no! How do you
I
forget
did
the bacon?
extra spices, Mom. I'm like, okay, sounds good.
Like,
And
you can't forget the
her
bacon.
boys eat them.
Yeah, my kids always did too. They love them.
My guys were like, they look weird to me. Aren't they like little cabbages? I'm like,
They're like little cabbages.
no, kind of, but they're tasty, and they're like, yeah. They call them vegetables, not vegetables, vegetables.
Ooh.
They're almost 40, and they still call them like it was a bad word. But they got that from my father-in-law. He didn't know. He would do potatoes and green beans, but that was kind of like it for him. And then
at least. Yeah.
I have a grandson who doesn't like potatoes.
No.
He's Irish. How does that work? He's more Irish than his mom because my son-in-law is 100% both sides. I'm looking at him like, what do you mean you don't like mashed potatoes? He's like, I don't like mashed potatoes. He only likes French fries.
Well, that's still potatoes. So
Yeah. Well, at school they told him that, okay, this is really strange, but the school where they go to in New York, they have to have a vegetable and a fruit when they're buying lunch.
mm-hmm.
So he's got tater tots on his plate. And he gets to the cash register and they're like, well, where's your vegetable? He goes, potatoes in the tater tots. And she's like, oh, those aren't potatoes. Those aren't vegetables. Those aren't potatoes. He's like, they're tater. What's inside the tater tot if it's not potatoes? So he's been like scarred for life, and he's being dramatic because he's 12.
Well, and you can't be 12,
It's just so funny because of the things that kids come up with. I'm sure you know.
Well, mine are older now, so I keep waiting for it to be less exciting. So
Okay.
Has not happened yet. So.
Not in my house. Things are always different, and I just can't believe. I mean, sometimes I sit there and I'm thinking it's Christmas, and we used to be staying up late at night, and we used to get make sure everything was wrapped, and there were lots of surprises, and now it's just like different because they're adults.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah.
And the things that used to do when they were little, like I used to put up a whole Christmas village and stuff. My mom gave me one with the little houses, and I'd set it all up on the piano, and then they would come and put their army figures and like
Nice.
and like completely redecorate it. Then it was fun coming in every day and seeing what what they had undone of what I done. But it's harder when they get older to to get excited about that. It's nice to have those traditions to look back on too.
Yeah, and the memories and things.
Yep.
And it was interesting. Some of the comments when I was doing the cookie hop on Facebook, a lot of people were saying, it was so nice. You have such a nice tradition, and did you get it from your mom? And I was like, well, no, actually, no, because my mom baked fruitcake every year, and she would give it as gifts. And we were like, oh, that looks really. Oh, I'm not touching it. And as kids, we never tried her fruitcake.
Oh no!
Except like one time. But I mean, she wasn't making it for us, but she was gonna let us, like taste it and everything, or looking at it. It came out of the bundt pan, and we're looking at it, and we're like, So that was her Christmas tradition. Now my grandma was a cheese and crackers grandma. She didn't and cocktails, which I loved.
Yep.
Not that she'd let me have any, but so I started when I was 14. I remember saying, Mom, can we make cookies for Christmas? Not just, she made oatmeal raisin and chocolate chips. That was it. So she's like, well, okay. So she helped me find a recipe in a cookbook, and I tried sugar cookies. And I remember I was like, I went into the kitchen like all done and dressed, like hair done and everything. And I was like ready for the party like hours early. And I'm thinking that was a dumb idea because I got flour everywhere. But I made my first batch of sugar cookies,
Oh,
and
so
my
sweet.
dad was like, because he was like a sugar fiend.
Mhm.
So like extra icing, he was like all over that. And then after that, every year she was like, well, Colleen, why don't you,
Oh,
keep
that's
making those
lovely.
cookies?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's lovely. That's a lovely start to a tradition.
Yep. So she helped me start it, and I like tweaked the recipe over the years. And when DJ couldn't have sugar, I was like, well, we'll just cut the sugar in half and it'll be kind of like, it'll be okay. And I wouldn't let him put too much icing on it.
Spoon-like.
But I mean, the recipe still worked with a half a cup of sugar
Mhm. Yeah.
instead of a cup of sugar. So, but it was neat to figure out that you can do that and you can adjust recipes for what your family needs.
Yep.
But those are really good with tea.
I bet. I bet. And we will watch because I know you will post the pictures of the ones that you decorate
Oh,
with the grand tree. So
well, yeah, yeah.
it was so nice to talk to you. I knew we were going to be able to do
Our
a
time's up.
Oh, we went way
Oh,
over.
sorry.
I knew we would be able to do a half an hour. I wasn't even worried the tiniest little bit. I could talk to you all day. I'm going
No.
to make sure that I put the link to the book in the comments. So if you haven't gotten the Duke Saber yet, you want to grab it. Dragonblade books are the best on pre-order and release. And if you don't get a chance to get them, then you can always read in Kindle Unlimited. And there are a lot of Duke's Guard to fall in love with. So it's well worth
Thanks.
diving in if you haven't already. Colleen, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us. I
It
really
was so
appreciate
much
it.
fun. I'm sorry our time's up.
We'll do it again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Evelyn.